There are many different reasons why people purchase. There's a lot of reasons why they don't purchase. But as a sales rep, you need to understand that truly so you can help them to make better buying decisions and obviously close more deals. On today's episode, we're going to teach you exactly how you go about doing that. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another great episode of the Sales Evangelist Podcast. I'm your host, Donald C. Kelly, the Sales Evangelist. And I'm so excited for another great episode. I'm so excited to be here with you today. And on this episode, I have an amazing guest. His name is Eric Goodman. We got a chance to meet at an event called Podcast Movement where I was keynoting. And Eric, one of the things that he's done, he has been an individual seller. He's a business consultant and coach, as well as he's been a dean at a business department. So he'll be able to basically understand what's going on when it comes towards business and when specifically his focus is around sales. Today, we're going to talk about a revolutionary concept. You know, you've seen many different personality tests, but this is really around understanding the buyer, because the more we can understand a buyer, the better chances we have of helping them to make a buying decision. If this is your first time listening to this podcast, it's designed to help you to 3 to 5x your sales pipeline and close twice as many deals. And today, Eric is going to drop some info to help you with that. Please go ahead and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Let's dive in, get a chance to learn about Eric and some of the amazing things that he's doing and this idea of the bank. Let's take it to the bank. Eric, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you, Donald. So excited to be here with you.
Well, I'm looking forward to chatting with you, getting a chance to understand the system, because for many of us, we need to understand why people are spending money with us. Like, why in the world is someone going to buy from us? And I'm hoping today that you can help us to better grasp that and grow in that understanding. But before we dive into that fun stuff there, and you give us a little bit of formula on how we can do this, talk to us a little bit about what you do.
So I am a business strategist and coach. And as part of that, I've always been on the lookout for game-changing strategies to optimize businesses. And that's led me to really sort of a lifelong pursuit, having left the corporate world, getting my PhD in business administration, spending over a decade as a business school dean, looking at the strategies that optimize not only individual performance, but organizational performance. So in the context of this show, the thing that I'm excited about is in sales, there are tools that are game-changing tools. And ultimately, what I do, though, in sales is work with people not only on sales strategies and processes, but more importantly, the mindset and tools and tricks that can really help people go from a mediocre sales conversion rate, often what I see, 20, 25%. And when they embrace the use of these tools, that they can get to 75, 80% or higher very quickly.
Amazing.
So it's about increasing sales and closing them in less time, because time is really the critical factor. So I consider myself a high performance coach, but I also do sales training and a variety of things, all about helping people discover, leverage, and maximize their potential.
With that being said, there's a challenge that we find as salespeople where buyers, and even more so now, I feel over the past year, we hear people that are being cautious about
Mm-hmm.
spending and or whatnot. And there's so many different episodes that we've done, and some of them tackle some of these things. But in particular, coming to this part about the individual, I think this part sometimes we haven't spent a lot of time on it. But I want to know a little bit deeper. There's a reason why our buyers buy, other than just they have pain, but there's a reason why they buy and how they make decisions. Talk to me a little bit about why that you feel is so important to understand to help us with our close rate.
Yeah, such a great question. And, I come to this, one of the universities I was at, we actually had a major in sales, and overseeing the college, looking at all the theories and techniques and strategies and different systems that are out there. One of the things that I found was missing was the exact question you're posing, because we can learn all these different techniques, but the real question is, well, why do people buy? Because you can take a salesperson and you're often delivering the same pitch or the same message, same pricing, same terms. What is it that gets a yes versus some people that say no? And so ultimately, this system is one that's sort of reverse engineered, because I think you'd believe or agree that people have different personality types, right?
Of course.
And if so, do you think then there's something different in terms of what they value and what drives their decision-making behavior?
I
And
think naturally, yeah.
Yeah. So when you look at that, I think that's the key to understanding what is really going on in the buying process. Because I know I was taught the golden rule, treat others how I want to be treated. But the
Hmm.
reality is, if they have a different personality, they're not me. I need to understand who they are, what they value, what's important to them, so I can treat them how they want to be treated, not how I want to be treated. And that's really not the golden rule, it's honoring the platinum rule, right?
Hmm.
So that's a key
100%.
to it.
So let's put this in a scenario. If I'm a sales rep, I'm going into a buying situation. Um, can you describe, you consult, you work with, you coach, what is a problem you see? Like if you can map out that scenario or draw that scenario for me when sellers are selling the way, are not selling according to the way the buyer wants to buy or buy based on their personality type. Just paint to me what that problematic situation, if you don't mind.
Well, I'd invite everybody listening to think about the last time you got a no. What
Hmm.
happened in that interaction? What was it that caused that no? And ultimately, sometimes, and I can share a little bit more in a minute about the different personas, if you will, or the values that
Please, yeah,
underline
we'll go
some
into
of
that.
the basic areas, because that'll bring it to life. But basically, it's almost like you're speaking a foreign language. You're not connecting with the people. Many years ago, I read the book Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, talking about gender differences and things. This is like that on steroids, and not gender specific, but just understanding that what if you could actually identify the underlying values of each person and know, like a crystal ball dropping from the ceiling that tells you exactly what to say to this person in front of you? Because what happens is, as a salesperson, you're focused on your message, your presentation, your pitch, or whatever, and you're not connecting with understanding, maybe not even connecting with understanding the pain points, hopefully you are, of your buyer, and then understanding how do you translate what you have to offer that's actually going to help solve that challenge or that pain point for your potential client. I mean, I think that's the disconnect, because you can present something and it's almost like you're speaking a foreign language to somebody else if you're presenting it how you want to be presented to and they're not like you. And
Yeah.
we know, you've heard that saying, like, you do business with people you know, like, and what, trust.
Hmm.
And sometimes you find those people that they're like just like you. You feel like you've known each other your entire life, and other people that turn you off. And that's often what happens in the sales encounter, is because you're approaching people in a way that isn't going to connect or resonate. It's almost like I'm speaking English and you're speaking French.
Yeah.
And so, how do you understand what language the person in front of you is speaking very quickly so you can adapt your presentation in an authentic way to be able to serve them best, right?
So let's go into this because I mean, most of us right now we're sitting back and we're thinking about the last deal that we had, and we're like, "Dang it, that's probably what it was." You know, I probably didn't connect with them, or probably didn't you didn't have a genuine connection. Probably could have done a better job. We want to hear what this is. So why don't you talk to us about the framework first off? How do we get to that? How do we solve this problem? How do we understand the individual personality? So maybe take a few minutes, describe it, and then describe the different portions of it, and then we could run through some scenario. How about that?
Okay, great.
Okay.
So the framework that is a game changer, and it's actually, there's an AI tool that's been called the Future of Sales in Forbes that corresponds to it, is a system called Bank, BANK. And it's like, take the money to the bank. It was actually created by somebody who was in sales. So unlike a lot of other personality assessments, I'd imagine many people have taken one, if not more, personality assessments in their life that are helpful to help you understand yourself. But this one is called BANK, and it's simply an acronym for blueprint, action, nurture, and knowledge. And actually, it's as simple as having a couple, it started with sort of reverse engineering personality. And it's as simple as these four cards that are now digitally available. There's an AI tool that underlies it. But just quickly, when you think about a blueprint, obviously the color blue, you think about
Mhm.
calm, cool, collected, right? And you think about a blueprint as something an architect uses. There's a plan, there's a structure, there's a process. Blueprint values for an individual. You can think about a box too when you think about a blueprint. You can think about a blueprint person is like inside of the box. They're dotting the I's, they're crossing the T's. They want to avoid risk at all costs. So they value having a plan and a strategy to move forward. So that's the blueprint personality type. And then the action personality is the complete opposite. These action people, personality, we're all a little bit of everything, but I'm just going to refer to each of the four primary types. And as I talk about them, I invite you to think about people you know. It might be yourself that fits sort of this acronym, if you will, or each of the different types. An action personality, these people, when you think about a box, they're blasting out of the box. They don't want to have anything to do with the box. They value freedom, flexibility, spontaneity, opportunity. They love to win. And when you think about the color red, you can think about walking the red carpet. They love the VIP treatment from head to toe. It's all for show. They like image and lifestyle. They go fast. You can think about the red, RPM gauge in your car. And so it's about being in the center stage, the spotlight. These are the movers, the shakers, the millionaire makers. So that's the action personality. Then you have the nurturer. And the nurturer personality, they're not inside of the box. They're not blasting out of the box. These are the type of people that recycle the box. And you think about the color yellow associated with nurturing personality. Now, these are the
Yeah.
people that they have a heart of gold. It's like when they walk into the room, it's like a ray of sunshine. And, they're as sweet as honey. And these are the people, it's all about relationship and connecting and authenticity and community and having an impact in the world, giving back to some greater cause and being a part of a team and being involved. So that's the nurture. And then the last acronym represents the knowledge personality type. And the knowledge personality, think of the color green, and you can think about like Excel, if you're using Office, or, in the movie The Matrix, the green little things that come down the screen. And ultimately, the knowledge type of personality, they're not inside of the box, blasting out of the box, or recycling the box. These are people that create the box, or they're thinking outside of the box. These are the people that are all about information, and they love logic. They love to learn. They love self mastery. They like research and development, science, and things like that. So you can think about those four different types, and whatever your primary type is, keep in mind, we're not just one, we are all a little bit of everything on a relative scale. So there's not just four types, there's actually 24 different sequences, and almost just
Mm.
like an ATM. If you go to the ATM and you put your credit card in and you put your little 4-digit code in and you put it in wrong, what happens?
Spits it out.
It spits it out, right?
Doesn't go through.
That doesn't go through. So it's the same thing with these sequence. There's actually 24 different sequences, which gives you a 4% chance if you're just, trying to figure it out. But why leave it to guesswork when you have a proven system that can help you figure out who's across from you or who you're connecting with in a way that's actually going to connect with them. So that's the system that allows people to understand very quickly. For example, if I am all about relationships and I start talking about relationships and maybe family and other things with a potential client, and they're a high knowledge type, that's private information. Like, you don't need to know that about me.
Yeah.
I just want the information that's relevant to whatever decision I'm making, for example. And there's all sorts of other cases like that, but you can get the idea. So how are you presenting the information, and what are you talking about with the client or prospect in terms of building a connection with them? Are you speaking really their language based on blueprint, action, nurturing, and knowledge? And it's the first two positions when you actually do this sequence or sort that are the most important. They drive your decision making. And what I like about this system is the third position is actually how people tend to show up when they're under stress. And that
Mm.
can be really helpful to understand, because sometimes people may pivot and they show up differently. It's like their head spins around, not quite like Sybil, but you see that happen sometimes when people get stressed in an interaction, and then exactly what's happening and how to meet them to bring them back to a non-stressed place in your conversation. And then the last is just what's least important to you.
So how do I go about implementing this idea? I mean, it sounds brilliant as far as putting having the people under different, different categories, or, the B, A, and K,
Yeah,
each of those different personality types. You gave me a little bit of idea, give us some ideas about who can fall into those areas. But what do I look for? And I know you started going into that, but what do I look for? I'm in a conversation. I'm doing a discovery call with you right now. How do I
sure.
even identify that? And I'm still trying to figure out your pain, and if there's a deal here. Seems like a lot of going on. How do I make that happen? Walk me
Well,
through
there's
that.
a couple different ways you can make it happen. And as I work with my clients to do that, part of it's the training around what to look for and listen for, something called speed coding, like speed dating, like where you're figuring out, okay, who is this person? And you're picking up a lot of nonverbal cues. I mean, they say really 93% of our communication is nonverbal when you think about the work by Moravian. And ultimately, it's listening for the words that actually give you an indication of some of the values that I just mentioned really quickly. Like what's important to you as you're considering maybe purchasing whatever product or service. What
Mm,
is the client saying? What's the first thing out of their mouth? Like, I'm looking for this to help create a better workplace. I want more harmony in the workplace. I want people to get along. Or, you know what, we need the bottom line results. Like, I want to maximize, you know, our income and our revenue in this next quarter. You know, where do they talk first? And it's listening for the words, even some of the words that I shared, like the blueprint, talking about systems or next steps. Like, what is the process? They want to know and understand that versus the action. Like, just give me the bottom line. What are the cliff notes? Why should I care? So it's paying attention to that. Obviously, there's a lot of things around people, how they dress, what they, you know, as well. When we talk about nonverbals, there's a lot of subtleties to that, but it's really training people to listen. And ultimately, some of the tools that I can help license for organizations and salespeople can be as basic as having a set of these where, you know what, take 90 seconds and sort these cards, and it'll help me serve you, and I'll save us some time as well, because I don't want to deliver information that's not important to you. It can be that,
mm.
it can be a digital link that you sell, or that you share, I'm sorry, with clients or prospects in your calendaring, in your scheduling. It's a nice way for people to understand more about themselves, but then also you're getting some insight into them. And of course, there's an AI tool. There's a LinkedIn plugin, which is a game changer in terms of being able to understand. It uses basically the information that's there, all the words, it's analyzing to figure out what are the underlying values and how are they connected to that person's persona and what is important to them. And also, you might be showing up on LinkedIn in a way that you don't want to show up to other people. So you might be turning people off based on what your LinkedIn has, or your website, or any messaging for that matter. But it's
That's
really just,
fascinating.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I think there's the idea of that. I think the LinkedIn part. I think it from a sales rep standpoint, and even as a buyer, I don't know if I'm to be eager to click on a link from a sales rep, but I do. I can see how the LinkedIn component can be of assistance to
Mm-hmm.
me as a seller, where I can get a report or whatnot on Eric. I'm going to talk to Eric, like, what is Eric like? How is he? How should I address him? And so forth.
Exactly. And it's not just, I mean, there's that integration with LinkedIn, but you can use email, you can look at other social posts on whatever platform, documents, things like that to give you more insight in terms of that individual. I've found though, people are typically curious and they love to learn more about who? Themselves,
Themselves, of course.
right? And so anytime you could provide something of value to them that they can learn more about their strengths, and also in this particular case, they get a report that tells them how best to communicate with other people. And this is something that transcends sales. What's happened as you work with people that learn the system, they're like, wow, I noticed my spouse is this or that. And it's changed my relationship, or it's changed the way I parent, or it's actually saved my kid's life. Stories
Wow.
like that, because it's just such a powerful tool. And this isn't new. It's personality science, dates back to Hippocrates, the father of medicine, 2,500 years ago, who said we could categorize the human race into these four temperaments, hence the theory of the four temperaments. And if we treat people differently, we'll get better results. And obviously, as the father of medicine, you can fast forward. We've done a lot more beyond that now. So
Yeah. Fascinating stuff. Now, how do I go about applying this? I'm a sales leader listening to this call, or I'm an individual sales rep. I'm like, this is cool. Do I just get the cards? Do I just get the plugin? How do I apply it? And then how do I make sure that I see actual results from it? Is that then just practicing with the thing, or give me some ideas here?
great question. In terms of implementation, and one of the things that I do, and I post them on LinkedIn, I have numerous complimentary events on LinkedIn that I post that are just Zoom events for people to come and learn about this and how it relates to sales, how it relates to talent acquisition, hiring, leadership, all sorts of different concepts applying this beyond sales. But I have those on a regular basis. So that's a good way for people to learn. If they want to connect with me, I'm happy to do that and share that with a sales team or an individual for that matter, so they can learn more about that. There are some regular webinars that are scheduled for people to learn about that, so I can plug people into that as a starting point. And then, of course, there's training. It's not as easy as just getting the cards. It's pretty close, though, because once you have that information, and literally I've had people after a day or a 90-minute training have the cards that then go out and start utilizing it. And part of it's the mindset around doing that, to recognize you're doing yourself and your prospective client a favor by actually honoring who they are, rather than making assumptions that they're just like you and delivering the wrong message. So it can be very quick and easy for people to actually implement it. And of course, in sales, you got to track the results. That's how you know. So whether it's those, lead to prospect, sort of all the different metrics you have along your funnel, what does that look like in terms of the meetings, the connection requests, and LinkedIn, to begin tracking it. And literally, you'll see very quickly that those results shift. And that's where I've seen top performing salespeople that are selling, multi-million-dollar jets, for example, double their sales by using something as simple as this, without changing anything else. And that's the common factor. It's like, when you're selling, you're getting a yes or no. The difference is, who are you getting that reaction from, right? So there's a lot of ways to learn about it. And the one thing that I will offer up to your listeners is an opportunity to go ahead. I mean, everyone wants to know their code. So to have an opportunity to actually see a report and see the type of information that is really valuable. It's emotional intelligence at the end of the day. And so if they go to crackmycode.com/communicate, they can get a complimentary report. And so, typically it's a $99 value for that report. Since they're listening to your amazing show, want to give that as a gift to your listeners and your viewers, so they can check it out. crackmycode.com/communicate and get more insight. And actually, I've had people even just read that report. And when you start connecting with people in your family or friends or in your workplace, or some of the deals that went south, you start recognizing, oh, wow, if I had done this. And it can be that quick of an aha.
Dang. All right. Well, I appreciate that gift, man. And I know our listeners will definitely appreciate
absolutely.
that. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show today. Thanks for helping us to be able to be aware of this. I think this can, like you share, if it can help us close a deal faster, and closes a couple more deals, perfect. It goes right in line with our goals. So thank you, man. Appreciate you, Eric.
Thank you for all the great stuff and information you continue to bring to us. So enjoyed talking with you.
Anytime.
All right.
Hey, that was Eric Goodman. If you haven't connected with him yet, go ahead and do so. We have that link down to his free offer, as well as you can connect with him on LinkedIn. Tell him you heard him here on the Sales Evangelist. I know he's going to appreciate that. And I appreciate you taking your time to be here, sharing the show with your friends, and just helping us get the word out. It means a lot. Thank you again. As always, I want you to 3 to 5x your sales pipeline. I want you to close twice as many deals. Take advantage of our sponsors, because they're giving you some amazing offers, deals, and things that can help you really thrive. So please take advantage of that. As always, I want you to thrive. I want you to succeed. But most importantly, I want you to raise your level of thinking and go out and do big things.